Welcome to today's deep dive, where we're going to be looking at a fascinating topic, uh, maximizing the potential for manifesting our intentions.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And we've got an incredible expert joining us today,
Mm.
a leading neuroscientist, author, speaker, all-around amazing person, Dr. James Doty.
Thank you.
And we're going to be diving into the science behind manifestation. And I got to say, some of the things we'll be talking about today are truly mind-blowing.
I think you'll find it very interesting.
I'm sure we will.
Mm.
We're going to be talking about things like the power of vibration, the heart's energetic field, and even the role of self-compassion in shaping our reality.
There's a lot more to manifestation than meets the eye.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've even developed a 6-week program to
Yeah.
help people effectively manifest their intentions.
Yeah.
But before we get into all of that, I want to kind of start with the basics. You know, manifestation has become a bit of a buzzword, often linked to the law of attraction.
Right.
So how do you see the connection between the two, and what are some of the potential pitfalls?
So let's start by clarifying the terms. Historically, the law of attraction can be traced back to ancient Hermetic traditions, which emphasize the power of the mind.
All right.
It later gained traction in the 17th and 19th centuries, with proponents suggesting that focused desire could attract desired outcomes.
Yeah.
This idea was further popularized by authors like Napoleon Hill, who emphasized the power of positive thinking.
Right.
But this narrative has often been shrouded in mysticism and pseudoscience,
Yeah.
which unfortunately diminishes its true potential.
So you're saying that there might be some truth to the law of attraction, but it's often misinterpreted.
Exactly. The law of attraction, as it's often presented, implies that simply wanting something will make it magically appear.
Right.
This can lead to disappointment and a sense of powerlessness when things don't go as planned.
Yeah.
The reality is that we are all manifesting every day, whether we're conscious of it or not. Our actions, thoughts, and emotions are constantly shaping our reality.
That's a really interesting point. So if we're constantly manifesting, then how can we become more efficient at it? How do we ensure that we're manifesting what we truly desire rather than what we fear?
By understanding how the brain works.
Okay.
Just like an athlete needs proper training to excel, we need to learn the techniques that maximize our manifestation potential.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So what would be the first step in becoming a manifestation master?
Okay.
Where do we even begin if we want to take control of our reality?
It all starts with understanding the difference between our conscious and subconscious minds.
Okay.
We're bombarded with millions of bits of information every second, but our conscious mind can only process a tiny fraction of that.
That's a lot of information.
It is.
So if we're only conscious of a small portion of that, then how do we influence the subconscious part that seems to be doing most of the work?
Exactly. The key is to learn how to effectively encode our intentions into our subconscious mind.
Okay.
Think of it this way. You can't just mention something to someone once and expect them to remember it perfectly. You need repetition-focused attention and strong emotional engagement for it to stick.
Yeah.
The same applies when it comes to imprinting intentions on our subconscious.
So you're a neuroscientist. You've studied the physical brain extensively.
Right.
What insights has that given you about creating a more harmonious, abundant life?
Right.
From your perspective, how does the science of the brain translate into practical strategies for manifestation?
Well, one fascinating thing about the brain is its variability. It's not a one-size-fits-all organ.
Okay.
For instance, if you were to look at the brain of a skilled violinist, you would see that the area that controls their hand movements is significantly larger than in someone who doesn't play the violin.
So our experiences actually shape the physical structure of our brains.
Absolutely.
Are you saying that even our thoughts and emotions can change the way our brain is wired?
This is what we call neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt throughout our lives. And it's not just limited to physical skills.
Right.
Meditation, for example, has been shown to have profound impacts on the brain, increasing gray matter in areas associated with self-awareness, compassion, and emotional regulation.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So speaking of profound impacts, you talk about this fascinating phenomenon of vibration in your book, MindMagic, the neuroscience of manifestation and its impact.
Yeah.
You even suggest that the heart has a vibratory energy field that's measurable.
Right.
This seems to go beyond the realm of traditional neuroscience.
Right.
Can you talk more about this idea and how it fits into the bigger picture of manifestation?
Sure, the heart's electromagnetic field is actually much stronger than the brain's
Wow.
and can be measured several feet away from the body.
Oh.
This energy field carries information and influences the people and environments around us. Think about those times when you felt instantly drawn to someone or inexplicably repelled by another.
Mm.
It's often a matter of our vibratory energy interacting.
Oh,
We emit an energy that can be sensed by others consciously or unconsciously.
wow. So you're saying that we're all emitting and receiving vibratory energy all the time. That's fascinating and a little bit scary at the same time. If we're all connected through this energy field, how do we make sure that we're emitting positive vibrations and attracting the experiences that we want?
It is. And it highlights the importance of being mindful of our own energy.
Okay.
If we're constantly engaged in negative self-talk or harboring resentment, we're essentially radiating that negativity outward, which can attract more of the same. It's
Yeah,
like creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of negativity and limitation.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So what about those deeply ingrained belief systems that we've been carrying around with us for years, even decades?
Right.
How difficult is it to change those if they're so intertwined with our vibratory energy? Is it even possible to rewrite these limiting beliefs and create a new reality for ourselves?
It can be challenging, but it's definitely possible. As the saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Sometimes it takes a significant life event, a wake-up call, to shake us out of our old patterns and make us receptive to change. And often that change begins with awareness, with recognizing those limiting beliefs that are holding us back.
You've shared a personal story in your book about how you learned a powerful manifestation technique from a woman in a magic shop during your difficult childhood.
Right.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? I'm intrigued by how a chance encounter like that could have had such a profound impact on your trajectory.
Sure. Growing up in poverty with an alcoholic father and a mother with a chronic illness was incredibly challenging. To escape the chaos and turmoil at home, I would often ride my bike to a nearby shopping mall.
Okay.
There was a magic shop there that I was drawn to, and I met this woman who had this incredible energy, just radiant.
Hmm.
She took an interest in me, offering me cookies and a listening ear.
Wow.
She sensed my pain and desperation and taught me a simple yet profound mindfulness technique.
What did that technique involve? Was it something that anyone could learn and apply in their own life, even without facing the challenges that you faced in your childhood?
It was a combination of deep breathing, body relaxation, and focused attention, very similar to what we now call a body scan meditation.
Okay.
She taught me how to calm my nervous system and shift from a state of constant fear and anxiety to a state of peace and presence.
Hmm.
This was a game changer for me. It allowed me to access a space of inner stillness despite the external circumstances.
That's an amazing story.
Mm.
So by calming your nervous system and becoming more present, were you able to change your perception of the world and ultimately your experience of it?
Exactly.
Are you suggesting that shifting our internal state can actually shift our external reality?
When we're constantly in fight or flight mode, our brains are focused on survival, not on creativity, learning, or personal growth.
Right.
By shifting into a more relaxed and receptive state, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. And in that state of openness, manifestation becomes more fluid and natural.
This brings us to the idea of limiting beliefs. How do they impact our ability to manifest our desires, and what steps can we take to release them and develop more empowering ones?
Okay.
If these beliefs are so deeply ingrained, how can we even begin to shift them and create a space for new beliefs to flourish?
Limiting beliefs are often rooted in fear, insecurity, and shame.
Hmm.
They create a self-perpetuating cycle of negativity that keeps us stuck in old patterns and prevents us from reaching our full potential. The key to breaking free is to cultivate self-compassion.
You're really emphasizing the importance of self-compassion. How does that relate to shifting from fear to love? Can you give us some concrete examples of how self-compassion can help us break free from those fear patterns and embrace a more positive approach to manifestation?
When we're constantly criticizing ourselves, focusing on our flaws and shortcomings, we're operating from a place of fear.
Right.
This triggers a stress response in the body, releasing hormones that keep us in survival mode.
Yeah.
Self-compassion, on the other hand, allows us to acknowledge our imperfections without judgment. It creates a sense of safety and security that allows us to relax, open up, and connect with our true selves.
So by practicing self-compassion, we're essentially changing our physiology and creating a more fertile ground for manifestation.
Precisely.
Are you suggesting that by shifting our relationship with ourselves, we can shift our relationship with the universe and our ability to manifest our desires?
And it goes beyond just feeling better. Self-compassion actually changes the way we interact with the world. When we're kind and compassionate towards ourselves, we're more likely to be kind and compassionate towards others.
Right.
This creates a ripple effect of positivity that can transform our relationships and attract more abundance into our lives.
That makes sense. But what happens if we're focused on manifesting material wealth or success without addressing those underlying insecurities and shame?
Right.
Is it even possible to achieve these external results without the internal transformation? Or are we just destined to repeat the same negative patterns?
That's a recipe for disaster.
Hmm.
I can speak from personal experience. I achieved a high level of material success early on in my career, but I was still deeply unhappy. I had mansions, fancy cars, millions in the bank, but it didn't fill the void inside.
Hmm.
It's like chasing a mirage. You think you're getting closer, but it always remains just out of reach.
So you're making a distinction between hedonic happiness, which is pleasure-driven, and eudaimonic happiness, which is purpose-driven.
Exactly.
Could you elaborate on this distinction and how it relates to manifestation? Is it even possible to manifest lasting happiness if we're not aligned with a deeper sense of purpose and meaning?
Seeking external validation without the internal transformation is a surefire way to remain unfulfilled. True happiness comes from aligning our actions with our values, from living a life of meaning and purpose.
Right.
And it's in that state of alignment that our manifestation efforts become more potent and authentic.
So if someone's primary goal is to manifest more abundance, what's the ideal balance of thoughts, emotions, and physical vibrations for that to happen effectively? If we want to make the most of our manifestation potential, what should we be focusing on?
It's not just about thinking positive thoughts or visualizing desired outcomes. It's about integrating those intentions with genuine feeling and aligning them with a deeper sense of purpose.
Okay.
When we do that, we activate what I call the relevance network in the brain.
This relevance network sounds intriguing.
It is.
Can you explain what it is exactly and how it works in the context of manifestation?
Sure.
How do we activate this network and utilize it to attract the experiences and opportunities that we desire?
Think of it like an internal search engine constantly scanning our environment for opportunities that relate to our intentions.
Okay.
Once we've clearly defined our desires and imbued them with emotional energy and meaning, this network goes to work bringing synchronicities and opportunities into our lives that we may never have noticed before.
So you're saying that these synchronicities, those seemingly magical coincidences, are actually the result of our brains working in alignment with our desires. That they're not just random events, but signs that we're on the right track.
They're not random events. They're signposts that point us in the direction of our goals.
Okay.
The more we pay attention to these synchronicities, the more we'll reinforce the neural pathways associated with manifestation, making it easier and more natural to attract what we want.
So the universe is guiding us, whispering clues, and opening doors that were previously closed.
Right.
This is all starting to make sense now.
Yeah.
It's like we're training our brains to become manifestation masters.
That's a great way to put it.
It's about cultivating a mindset of possibility, tuning into the subtle cues of the universe, and trusting that we're being guided towards our destiny.
Right.
But what about those times when things don't go as planned?
Right.
We set an intention, we visualize the outcome, we even see some synchronicities, but the result isn't what we expected. How do we deal with those disappointments? Does this mean we did something wrong or that we're not good enough at manifesting?
That's a great question, and it brings us to a crucial aspect of manifestation, letting go of expectations.
So we need to be clear about our intentions, but also detached from the specific outcome.
Exactly.
Are you suggesting that by clinging too tightly to a particular vision, we might actually be blocking the best version of what we're trying to manifest?
When we're too attached to a specific outcome, we create resistance. It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. We need to trust that the universe, or our subconscious mind, or whatever you want to call it, has a plan that is often grander than our limited perspective.
Right.
Sometimes what we think we want isn't actually what's best for us, and the universe is steering us towards something even better.
So it's about surrendering to the process and trusting that things will unfold as they should?
Yes, but surrendering doesn't mean passivity. It's about taking inspired action, being open to new possibilities, and recognizing that sometimes what we think we want isn't actually what's best for us.
I remember you sharing a story about a project that you've been working on for 13 years that hasn't materialized yet, but you haven't given up hope. I'm wondering if you could share that story with our listeners and how it's helped you to maintain faith in the manifestation process, even in the face of challenges and delays.
Yeah. It's a global compassion festival that I've been envisioning for Over a decade.
Wow.
It hasn't happened yet, but I trust that it will. And even if it doesn't unfold exactly as I've imagined it, I know that something even more amazing could be in store. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs come after the biggest challenges.
That's such a powerful perspective. It reminds me of the saying, what you seek is seeking you.
Exactly. And when we let go of our rigid expectations and embrace the unknown, we open ourselves up to those unexpected miracles. Life has a way of surprising and exceeding us.
This all ties into the idea of living in a state of flow, right?
Absolutely.
Could you talk a little bit more about the flow state and how we can access it in our own lives? What role does flow play in manifestation?
Flow is that state of being where we're fully immersed in the present moment, effortlessly engaged in what we're doing, and time seems to melt away. It's a state of effortless creation and manifestation.
So how do we access this flow state? Is it something we can cultivate? Or is it something that just happens to us? Are there specific practices or techniques we can use to invite flow into our lives?
It's not something we can force, but we can create conditions that make it more likely. It starts by identifying activities that bring us joy, that ignite our passion, and that challenge us just enough to keep us engaged.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between boredom and overwhelm.
Exactly.
How do we know if we're in that sweet spot, and what can we do if we find ourselves leaning too far to one side or the other?
And it's about letting go of the need to control every aspect of the process. When we surrender to the moment, trust our intuition, and allow ourselves to be guided by inspiration, flow becomes a natural byproduct.
I love that. It's a reminder that manifestation isn't about forcing things to happen, but about aligning ourselves with the natural flow of life. Could you give us some examples of how we can align with this flow in our daily lives?
You're right.
What kind of mindset or approach should we cultivate?
You know, it's interesting. We often think of manifestation as something we do to get what we want. But what if it's actually about becoming the person we're meant to be?
That's a profound thought.
What if the process of manifesting our desires is actually a process of self-actualization, a journey of uncovering our true potential and aligning with our highest purpose?
I've never thought of it that way.
And what if the things we manifest are simply reflections of who we're becoming?
Wow, that's mind-blowing.
Mhm.
It shifts the whole focus from external achievements to internal transformation.
Exactly. And maybe that's the true magic of manifestation.
Now, speaking of aligning, you mentioned earlier that even knowing something's a placebo doesn't diminish its effectiveness.
Right.
What are some other fascinating insights from placebo research that we can apply to our lives? If our knowledge doesn't diminish the placebo's effectiveness, what does that tell us about the power of the mind and its influence on our reality?
Placebo research is truly mind-boggling. It shows us that our beliefs and expectations have a profound impact on our physical reality.
Hmm.
Even when we know that we're receiving a sugar pill, our bodies can still experience real physiological changes based on our belief that we're receiving a powerful treatment.
So our minds can literally heal our bodies. Are you suggesting that simply believing in something can have a tangible impact on our health and well-being?
To a certain extent, yes. And it's not just limited to physical healing. Placebo effects have also been observed in studies on pain management, depression, anxiety, even Parkinson's disease.
So if our beliefs can have such a powerful impact, how do we harness the placebo effect to improve our lives? If we can tap into this power, what are some practical ways to do it? How can we use the power of our minds to create the results that we want?
It starts by understanding that our minds are far more powerful than we often realize. We need to pay attention to the stories we tell ourselves, the beliefs we hold, and the expectations we set.
Okay.
If we believe that we're capable of achieving something, our brains will literally rewire themselves to support that belief.
So it's about shifting from a mindset of limitation to a mindset of possibility.
Exactly.
Are you saying that by changing our thinking, we can change our reality?
And it's about recognizing that we have the power to influence our reality through our thoughts, beliefs, and actions.
You mentioned earlier that you've developed a 6-week program to help people master manifestation. Can you give us a sneak peek into what that program entails? What are some of the key steps involved in this transformation process? What can people expect to learn and experience as they embark on this journey?
It's a step-by-step guide that combines the latest scientific insights with practical techniques to help people identify and overcome limiting beliefs, cultivate self-compassion, clarify their intentions, and create a life that's in alignment with their deepest values. It's not a quick fix, but it's a powerful journey of self-discovery and transformation.
That sounds amazing.
It is. And it's about so much more than just manifesting material possessions. It's about manifesting a life of meaning, purpose, and fulfillment.
I love that. Before we wrap up, Dr. Doty, we have one last question for you. It's something fun that we like to ask all of our guests to spark a little curiosity in our listeners.
Okay.
It's about those vivid, sometimes strange dreams that we all have. Have you ever noticed any correlation between the emotional tone of a dream and its potential significance in the manifestation process?
That's an interesting question.
Could our dreams be offering us clues about our subconscious intentions, or even guiding us towards more effective manifestation?
I haven't specifically studied the connection between dreams and manifestation, but I have observed some interesting patterns in my own life. It seems that dreams with strong emotional content, whether positive or negative, tend to be more memorable and often leave a lasting impression on my waking state.
So those emotionally charged dreams could be trying to tell us something. If our dreams are a window into our subconscious, could they be revealing blocks or limiting beliefs that are preventing us from manifesting our desires? Or could they be showing us the path towards greater alignment and untapped potential?
Perhaps dreams have long been considered a window to the subconscious mind, and it's possible that they're revealing hidden beliefs, fears, or desires that we might not be consciously aware of.
That makes sense. And if those subconscious beliefs are influencing our manifestation process, it would make sense to pay attention to those emotionally charged dreams, right? What steps can we take to better interpret our dreams and utilize them as a tool for personal growth and transformation?
Absolutely. Dreams can be a powerful tool for self-discovery and personal growth. They can offer clues about our deepest fears and aspirations, and they can even inspire us to take action in our waking lives.
This has been an absolutely incredible conversation, Dr. Doty. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insights with us.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope you found this deep dive into the neuroscience of manifestation as enlightening as we did. Remember, the power to create the life you desire lies within you. Embrace the journey, trust the process, and never stop believing in the magic of your own mind. Until next time, keep diving deep